Hi, welcome to another new video. So in today's video, I'll be doing a first impression of a sketchbook that was sent to me by SPD. So SPD used to be called Society for the Physically Disabled. They changed their name several years back and they're now just called SPD. It's not a short form, it's just SPD. SPD is a local charity set up to help people with disability of all ages to maximize their potential and integrate them into the mainstream society. So how do they do that? They do that by providing these people with vocational training and engaging them as artisans to make these handcraft leather products and hand-bound journals and more. So if you'd like to find out more about SPD, I leave the links below so that you can find out more about them. So what they sell in their online stores are, for example, greeting cards, gift cards, hand-bound journals, leather products, masks, and stuff like that. So what was sent to me is the watercolor sketchbook. When it sent to me, it came with a bubble wrap, right? So I removed the bubble wrap, and I really like the part that they actually included a photograph, like a drawing of a master craftsman. Don't you feel like you're more connected to the book, to something, because you know who actually made it? I think this is a really nice touch. So they also had like a description of what they do, and it just shows someone actually working on it. And it says here, 不怕慢，就怕停. So it means you don't have to worry about like being too slow. Slow and steady win the race, just carry on and do it. It's about smaller than A5 size, and it comes with a little elastic band over here, right? This is black color, and you see my name has been a hot stamp foil is done here, and I think this is really nice. I really like that feel. It feels a bit like sticky. It's supposed to be waterproof. I haven't tried it yet, but and I really quite like that they actually bound it with can you see like this white and blue tape over here? It comes like, just feels like this is like a diary, like a nice bounded book. So if you go to the online store, they also will be able to personalize it. You are limited to about 15 characters, so I believe it's probably enough for your name if you want to. You have options to change the colors. There are so many colors, 13 colors in all, so I'm sure you'll be able to find one that you like. The hot foil, you can change. There's actually 3 options. You have silver. The one that I have is in silver. There's gold, and there's also rose gold. So I think play around with this, and you can even change the color of the elastic band if you want to. So yeah, I think it's really fun to just mix and match. So if you open it up, you will actually see that they have a sticker here. So the interior surface it's actually in black, and it's like glued down with this thick black paper, matte paper. Same for the back, and it has a little holder. So this holder it's like made from, this is the tape, the binder's tape, and then this is like a kind of a hard black cardboard. So it's quite a sizable one, so you can actually put a lot of stuff if you like tickets. So if you are using this as like a travel sketchbook, you can put tickets, stickers, little maps or stuff like that at the back, while you do your travel sketching. So this is the A5 size sketchbook. I found out from them that they actually use the Saunders Waterford 100% cotton watercolor paper at 190 GSM. So it's a cold press paper. The grains, they actually line it up pretty nicely. There are 26 sheets. So you have like 26 times 252 pages. And I think this is good for like a weekly challenge. So if you have like a whole year of once a week challenge, I think this is just right for you. About the paper, they come in 2 different colors. So you can either choose to have it in white, or you can choose to have it in cream. So the one that they sent me is in white. I have been using this paper, the Saunders Waterford 190 GSM white cold press, for my swatches. So I've been doing all these watercolor swatches, when I review watercolor paints, and I actually use Saunders Waterford. So can you see? I bought a Saunders Waterford, the big sheet, the full imperial size watercolor, and I cut it down to this size. So it's very funny that even though I've been using it for so long, I haven't really tested the paper yet. I would actually test it out just to show you, and also to find out for myself how watercolor pen, inks and stuff work on this paper. Okay, first we look at the performance of the pens and inks on this paper. I normally have two pens, thick and thin pen, the nib size that is, and also the speed at which I did the test on. So I also have a section where I did the watercolor, the drawing on top of watercolor. So what we see here is that for the thicker nibs, we do see a little bit more of skipping it at a fast speed. This is not so bad when I do it slowly, but you can see because it's cold press, right, the line is kind of irregular. No issue with fast, with thin pen at all, slow either. It did not bleed through. So if we turn to the back, there isn't. So this is the behind, and you can see that it didn't go through. Like 190 GSM paper is actually okay for doing ink and wash. It doesn't matter whether you have a thick nib or a thin nib. Regarding watercolor, we first look at the wet on wet. So the wet on wet, I use ultramarine blue. And even though I, added water, tons of it, I did all sorts of maneuver, I let it dry, it just dried very uniformly. You do see a little bit of granulation on this, and it doesn't dry. Sometimes when I have wet on wet patch, right, the section where I tried it out, you'll see certain places being like a larger area that is less intense, the paint is less intense, and certain area that is very intense. So there is slight bulging at the top, at the part that's nearer to the binding side, and more of the it probably absorb water and bulge up like that, and it pushes the pigment down, and it kind of ponded at the edge. But I think it still managed to, the paint still managed to look quite uniform. And if you notice the paper, right, perhaps I could just zoom out a little bit just to show you guys the paper. It does have it does warp a bit as shown from here. Of course this is 190 GSM, so I'm not going to expect too much from its ability to take a lot of water and not warp. It's probably it's not realistic to have that kind of thinking. For glazing wise, I didn't have any problem with the colors just coming out, and they still look like there is a very nice distinct layer, with the edge is still very nicely preserved. Lifting wise, I think you can lift up a little bit with it's possible to lift up color. This is where I actually did a bit of scrubbing. I think I couldn't really scrub out the color, and the surface actually is still, it remains quite integral. A little bit of it come off, but it is not a very it's not as bad as I've seen in other brands. Color wise, I think it does present color very nicely. The colors are not as bright as they are when you are using a whiter color. Even though this is white paper, it's not exactly like super white like your Fabriano Artistico white. It's still a kind of cream, but it's off-white, and the color is nice. I do see it, and you don't see a lot of variation in the colors. Even in the edges, I could get the edges when I this is when the paint hasn't dried. This is when the paint has dried. Do note that you need to use it. You need to soften the edge when it's still wet, because when it's dry, you get all these it kind of tend to just bind to the fiber already, and you can't really get it out. As Saunders Waterford is one of the more affordable 100% cotton watercolor paper around, I think it will be great for people who would like to try out 100% cotton paper but has a small budget to work with. So you can actually have a feel of how 100% cotton paper would how the paint would look and how the drawing would look on it. And it also does kind of make the painting look very smooth. So if you are the kind who, you know, first started out, you want your painting to look very uniform, this is the paper. It really does the job for you. And the color do look quite nice. The only problem is because it's 190 GSM, so it's not thick enough. Try not to use like too much water. I guess it's okay. You can actually refer to how much water I've added. That is probably stretching it a little bit. Try not to use that much water. Yeah. So if you're, let's say for example, doing a quick in and wash, if you're going out urban sketching, you're just drawing and putting a wash over, I think this is a nice paper, good enough paper for you. But if you like to work it even more, then you may want to consider a thicker paper, because Saunders Waterford do actually make paper that is much thicker. But I think given that this is a sketchbook, right? This is actually a travel sketchbook, so I would suppose like people will most likely use this for urban sketching, or if you're going travel sketching, and it should be sufficient. Whatever we have here should be already sufficient for you. They are also able to accept customized sketchbook binding jobs. So if you do have papers that you have, you could provide them with sufficient number. They will be able to cut it and they will bind it for you, and of course then you have all the options of having it different colors and things like that. So if you are in Singapore and you have a lot of these paper lying around and you just want to find a way to organize it better, you could go down to them, bring your paper over, and ask them to customize for you. I actually would like to engage them to bind my own watercolor sketchbook using paper that I like. But unfortunately, I was not able to secure a slot like to meet them and pass them the paper and to tour the place. So I hope that in a future video, I would be able to do that. Okay, so I hope you have enjoyed this video. If you did, please give me a thumbs up, and remember to subscribe if you'd like to see similar content. I see you next week for more art, more watercolor, more urban sketching. Bye bye.